Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from Kiss.
Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas from Kiss.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm wishing everybody a really Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year.
Someone stole Santa? That does not rock!
What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another episode of 25 Days of KISSmas, where every day leading up to KISSmas, I will be reviewing and discussing every Kiss studio album plus more. For the 15th episode, I will be reviewing the Lick It Up album from 1983. The tour in support of Creatures of the Night was rather disastrous since the band was playing to half-full houses that were sold out only a few years prior, and despite a shape-shifting couple of years direction-wise that lost a crop of fans, both the diehard fans and the band were proud of what was established with Creatures, and the general conclusion was drawn that the public was listening with their eyes instead of their ears, and that fell down to the makeup, which did shift the dynamic of the band with new characters such as the Fox and the Egyptian Ankh from Eric and Vinny respectively. In a move that Paul was advocating for, the band's only option was to take off the makeup, and sure enough, on September 18th, upon the release of their new album, Kiss appeared on MTV and unmasked themselves to the public and started a fresh chapter in Kiss-tory. So let's dig into the album. Side 1, Track 1, Exciter. A fast-paced rocker from Vinny and Paul, which kicks the album right into high gear. And Rick Derringer actually plays the solo on the record. Vinny had cut a solo, and it must have been not to Gene and Paul's liking. And in traditional Kiss fashion, similar to some of Ace's solos on Destroyer, Vinny found out that the solo was swapped once the album was out. The track was played during the first half of the Lick It Up tour, which gave Vinny an opportunity to play it how he conceived the solo to be. This song was also released as a single in Spain. Track 2, Not for the Innocent. This is a track written by Gene and Vinny, which dates back to Creatures, where a demo version was recorded during the sessions. And while Gene takes the lead vocal on this album version, the vocals between the verses and choruses were traded by both Gene and Paul, and some of Paul's vocals are absolutely brutal sounding, and I mean that in the most positive way. Overall, the track was toned down from its initial heaviness to this finalized version, but even with that said, this is one of Lick It Up's most menacing sounding tracks. Track 3, Lick It Up. The basic idea, along with the title and melody for this song, came from Vinny, and Paul was initially not too impressed with it. Gene took a liking to it, and then Paul warmed up to it and made some contributions to the composition. The song was released as a single, and while it didn't chart too high within the US, it was a top 40 hit in other markets. The single was also accompanied with a music video that gave the public a first proper view outside of the band unmasking on MTV, a look at the band without makeup, with scantily clad women in a post-apocalyptic wasteland and the band stuffing their faces with food. The plot of the video is a bit of a head-scratcher, but nonetheless, Lick It Up is one of the handful of songs from the non-makeup period that became a permanent concert staple well into when the band had put the makeup back on. Track 4, Young and Wasted. Gene originally wrote this tune back in 1982 under the title Like a Moth to a Flame, a line which is referenced in one of the verses. Once Vinny came into the picture, the song became refined and retitled, which earned him a co-writing credit. And whilst Gene sings lead on the album version, most people identify this song as an Eric Carr track, since he would sing lead when it was performed live for a couple years. Track 5, Gimme More. Another Paul and Vinny track that was played live during the Lick It Up tour, and it is a speed demon bard burner of a track, lyrically full of the usual innuendos from Paul. And just to take it a step further, Vinny was involved in a band called Warrior that had a song called I Need Love, which had a lyric, "Come on, break my candy cane," and Paul indeed borrowed it and modified it to match the nature of the song. Now we're going to flip the album over to Side 2, Track 6, All Hell's Breaking Loose. This song originally came from Eric, and the music he wrote was completely left intact from the original idea to the final version. Gene attempted to work on some lyrics, and when he struggled to come up with anything that would work, the song was given to Vinny and Paul to finish. Thus, this song marks a full band collaboration, which is certainly an anomaly in the Kiss catalog. And while the song was originally meant to come across as a Zeppelin Kashmir type of tune, it morphed into what could be seen as one of the first prime examples of rock being infused with rap long before Aerosmith and Run DMC could do so. This song was released as the second single from the album and featured another video with some post-apocalyptic imagery, but instead of women with food, it was women with swords. The song also got a live airing during the second half of the Lick It Up tour. Track 7, A Million to One, another Paul and Vinny composition. I would say more so Paul's, since it very much follows the sort of power ballad mold that Paul had pushed to feature on Kiss records, starting on Creatures with I Still Love You, and the song must have some significance to Paul since he did revive it on his Live to Win solo tour in the mid-2000s. Track 8, Fits Like a Glove. Here is a track that is solely Gene's, and during the 80s where many tracks from respective albums and tours came and went, this was one song that lasted long enough going into the early 1990s. The middle part where Gene goes, "'Cause when I go through her," worked enough in the live set to become a bit of a shtick for Gene to interact with the crowd. As for the lyrics, what more could the song be about? Track 9, Dance All Over Your Face. Gene goes at it again with another song solely written by him, this one full of attitude and vengeance. Track 10, End on the Eighth Day. This track's origins stem from the song Boys Are Gonna Rock from Vinny's pre-Kiss band Warrior, which he would go on to record later with the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Only the verse riff and lyrics from the first verse were retained on this track, so Vinny's contributions were very much minimal here, and everything else comes from Gene. Overall, this is an anthemic yet majestic album closer. As for where this album stands in my Kiss catalog ranking, I would put Lick It Up at the number 8 spot. I would go as far as to say this is the best non-makeup Kiss record, and what a way to come out strong at the top with the first non-makeup offering. This can be seen as a sort of sister album to Creatures in terms of the band continuing to go in the heavier direction that was already established, and the songs on here just rip, and there is this oozing excitement out of the band that's charting a fresh path for themselves. So there you guys go. That is the 15th episode of the 25 Days of KISSmas series. Stay tuned tomorrow for the 16th episode, and you can already guess what comes next. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.
Treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a